pause for thought and join in the barking with Darren Rowe on The Mindful Dog.
Hi guys, and welcome to The Mindful Dog. Today we're with Roman Travers on the Sunday Cafe, and we're talking about robotic dogs going to Mars and how much exercise does your dog need in the heat.
Roman Travers on Magic Talk.
All right, let's lighten things up a bit. Grab the dog and give it a pat. And dogs are lovely. And a man who knows all about dogs, because that's what he does for a job, is Darren Rowe from Mindfulness for Dogs. G'day, mate.
Hi, mate. How are you doing?
I'm really good. And, yeah, look, I am good. I'm just concerned, though, in the Wellington region, back to the water topic, there are certain rivers they've said you cannot let your dogs get into because of toxic algae bloom in New Zealand.
Yeah, that's quite a common thing in New Zealand, isn't it?
It is now, with low-flowing rivers and things. It's not good. Yeah. Darren, you've come across an interesting story today about robotic dogs. What on earth are you talking about?
Oh, I thought I'd just change things up a little bit because we talk about, obviously, the four-legged furry friends. But I was just doing a little search on Facebook, as you do, and this little video came up of these robotic dogs that NASA has started to do to take to Mars.
Mm. What are they doing with them on Mars?
So I don't know if you can remember the last Mars Rover, but it could only go on the flat, pretty much, because it's like a wheeled vehicle. Mm-hmm. Whereas these guys have been designed exactly like dogs, so they've got four legs and they move around and they can fall over and correct themselves. So it's just really nice to see that dogs are inspiring sort of robots.
It is. You might remember a few years ago now, I can't remember how many, but in Japan they started marketing robotic dogs for the house. Like, it's nice because they don't pee on the couch, but what's the benefit in having a robotic dog?
I think if you're a lazy dog owner, maybe you don't have to take it for walks, perhaps.
Yeah, you don't have to feed it.
Behavioural issues, maybe.
Well, there's that as well.
Wouldn't it? It would be terrible if they actually started having robotic dogs with behavioural issues.
Oh, I just hope we don't go that whole way of we become so clean driven that we move away from having actual animals doing actual poos in our garden. That would be. Hey, the number here is 0800 844 747. You might have a question to put to Darren Rowe from Mindfulness for Dogs. Darren, do you want to take some questions today?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
all right,
definitely.
Well, we've got one. We've got Hillary. G'day, Hillary.
Hello, Hillary.
Hello, how are you? Now, I think the council should encourage people to put small tanks into their properties to catch water for cleaning their cars and doing their gardens, etc., etc.
Oh, we're on the water thing here. And for watering the dog, maybe, Hillary.
I was going to say also for washing the dog would be a good
washing
one.
the dog.
Yeah, good point, good point. Do you have a dog, Hillary?
No, we let farm dogs.
Oh, you got farm dogs. Well, they're still dogs, aren't they?
Yes, they're good dogs.
Yeah, that's good.
They
what
work
kind of
hard.
dogs are they, Hillary? What kind of dogs are they?
Well, sheepdogs.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. Are we talking hunterways or heading dogs, Hillary?
Pardon?
Hillary, are we talking hunterways or heading dogs?
Well, you can have both. Well, my father had one. He had to shoot it. He said it was born
Good Lord.
mad because it would not do anything he trained it to do.
Okay.
He would attack the sheep instead of round them up.
Well, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, they have a mix, but he only had about 3 dogs anyway, and they're different. I mean, they work hard, come home. I used to watch them feed them. They used to roll in the grass. They'd be panting. They'd want some water, and then feed them, let them run around a while, cool off, and then lock them up for the night in the kennel so they wouldn't go out and bark around and chase the sheep.
Well done, Hillary. Yeah. I think we might just... You've managed to incorporate both topics. You're very clever. You could be a politician there, couldn't she, with water and dogs. Just on that, though, Darren, let's take that off on a little tangent, if you don't mind. How hard should you run a dog if it's hot for you, for example, and you're carrying your own water? Should you be doing the same for your dog?
Definitely, yeah. And I think we underestimate how hot dogs get, especially, I mean, we talked a while ago about the brachiophilic dogs with the short noses, and they overheat really quickly. So dogs don't sweat in the same way that we do. Most of their heat comes out from when they pant, and I think it's either, I can always get this wrong, the back or the front paws have got some sweat glands. Right. So they actually don't sort of like get rid of the heat as quickly as we can. So when it's really hot, we don't take our dogs out midday. It's way too hot. In fact, they're lazy. If they do go out, they just go and sit under a tree. But I see a lot of people running their dogs in the mid-sun, when they're out running, obviously trying to get fit themselves after the new year. But just think about your dogs when you're doing that, because dogs won't tell you that they're too tired or they're exhausted inside. They'll just collapse and of exhaustion.
They are lovely, though, the way they, you know what, you never see a dog that says, no, I don't want to go out. You never see a dog that's not smiling. They love everybody. Yep, I'll go for another run. So if you've got a big family, can you overdo that with dogs?
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, you've always got to be thinking about the wear and tear on the bones and muscles, definitely. And also, I think one of the things that I find, especially after New Year, and I've seen this a little bit, like, say, going off on a tangent, dogs haven't really had much exercise before Christmas or the last 6 months, and suddenly now we want to get fit, so we take our dogs out. But our dogs are maybe a little bit overweight, a little bit obese, and they can't cope with that amount of exercise. It can be quite a struggle for the dogs if you suddenly load them with a 2 kilometre run when they're only used to doing 100 metres.
Yeah, well, that's a fair point you make as well. All right, you might have some questions for Darren. Perhaps you've just gone and got yourself a brand new dog under the Christmas tree, perhaps, and you want some guidance and direction. By the way, Darren Rowe is available after hours, if you know what I mean, after the show, because that's what he does for a job. Just Google mindfulness for dogs and you'll come up with his business, and he's very happy to help you over and beyond. What are some of the other issues we need to be concerned about in the heat, Darren?
In the heat? Well, certainly lack of water. We've got a little Twinkie, our puppy. She's a pain in the bum, basically, talking about water. She will tip over any water bowl, and we've even got big buckets now that are like 3 times as heavy as she is, but she'll still tip them over because it's a fun game. So just have a little think about how you're arranging your water, because quite often dogs do put their front paws in the water, and again, I think that's a cooling thing. And they may well end up making that water dirty, muddy, or just tipping it all over the place. So you might go out for the day thinking you've given them plenty of water, like one bowl, and actually that's gone in a couple of minutes because it's on the floor. So certainly that. The other thing is water, if you put it outside, I see a lot of people with their water bowls for the dogs outside, it just heats up, and it heats up so quickly, especially in a metal bowl. So you can always put some ice in there. I remember seeing a long time ago, you fill up a balloon, a small balloon, and then put it in the freezer, and it sort of like makes a great big ice bowl, and then put that in the bowl. That's quite good.
Okay.
That does it. Obviously, there's the tarmac, or the ground. So the ground gets incredibly hot. I think yesterday it was quite a hot one in the Waikato, and I think by about 9:30 the ground, the road was too hot for a dog to put their paws on. Yeah,
so what's the rule there? You actually literally put your hands on the footpath, don't you? If you can't hold your hands there, don't walk the dog.
Yeah, it's like we haven't got babies and stuff like that, but if you think about when you test a water bottle with baby, a milk bottle, then just put your hands down, and if it burns, I think your elbow is the most sensitive, isn't it? So if you put your elbow down and it burns your elbow, then it's certainly going to burn those pads off the dogs. And again, your dog won't tell you until they get home, and suddenly then it's just red raw. Shona's
texting. Shona says there's kennel cough in Canterbury. We're advised not to take our dogs to the doggy parks. How long does it remain in the park? I thought it would only be there and transmitted from dog to dog. Are we waiting for all dogs to become well before we can return to the dog parks? How is kennel cough treated if it is contracted, says Shona?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one. I've been trying to follow that one, actually. I think I'm not a vet, obviously, so my information is just mainly on what I've read on the internet and what I understand of it. There's lots of different viruses and bacteria that can cause kennel cough, so it's not just one thing as far as I can tell. And we vaccinate against kennel cough generally, and it's a mixture of different things. But there's a bit of possible scaremongering maybe about the linking the coronavirus, COVID-19, shall we say, with the kennel cough. From what I read, the latest kennel cough is a coronavirus, but not in any way the same as COVID-19.
Okay.
Kennel cough comes every year. It's something that's always there. It never goes. And we get massive outbreaks, so perhaps this one's a little bit more virulent. It's normally passed with dog saliva, so don't let your dog drink from a communal bowl. So when you go to cafes, take your own water, because that's definitely the way it's going to be spread. In parks, if you've got puddles and things like that, don't let your dog go and lick in the puddles. At the moment, there's not much rain, so that's probably not going to happen. But that's the kind of things, if they are meeting. But just, again, be responsible, because if your dog is doing that whooping cough and it's like a raspy cough, then just don't take them out, and it can take about a good 2-3 weeks.
Okay. Hey, Darren, I've got another question about kennel cough as well from Jim, and I'll come to that in just a moment. If you've got questions for Darren Rowe, look, he's not a vet, he's a dog behaviourist, so don't get all technical on the old up the schnauzer kennel cough vaccination stuff. but any questions around behaviour and how to train your dog to make you a flat white, 0800 844 747. Now, Darren, the text here is from, doesn't say. Oh, no, it does say. It says Jim. Jim says, I've got a fox terrier just over 12 months. She had a vaccination for kennel cough. What is kennel cough? Can you please explain that to me?
Yeah, so I've just gone on my internet. As I'm at home today, it's quite useful. So kennel cough's a viral disease, and that's why we have vaccinations. But you can get quite a lot of complications with the bacterial so as soon as you get, actually no, there's two. Sorry, so there's actually a bacterial and a viral one. So we vaccinate against the viral one, but the bacterial one can still come in. Vaccinations don't last forever now with kennel cough, as far as I'm aware. I think it's a yearly thing you have to do. It literally runs out. So that's possibly why she's got it, if she's been vaccinated. Most people will recommend that you vaccinate if you go to daycare or if you go to kennels and things like that, because obviously you can have close contact with dogs there. So. All
right, that makes a lot of sense. And stick around, because on the program in the coming weeks, of course, we do have our wonderful vet from Vitora Vets, Charlie Quinn, and she'll be able to address those questions as well. Darren Rowe, normally on the Sunday Cafe, he's very kindly stepped in today and he's providing advice for you. And Rose is here. G'day, Rose. Nice to have you on the program.
Morning, Rose.
Hi, yes, morning. I usually listen to your program every Sunday.
Thank you.
Yes. My question is, my daughter's dog, he's got a big face, and she bought a new dog kennel, but he's eaten all the side of the dog kennel. He keeps chipping away at it.
All right. Is he outside? And is the dog kennel a kennel that he's inside and he can't get out of it? So it's like a chained thing? Or is he just running free in the garden?
No, I don't think they tie him up. No, he just walks.
Yeah. So cause normally when dogs are chewing... Oh, how old is he actually, before I say that?
They're about 4.
About 4, okay. So if he was younger, some of that chewing can be teething, but clearly he's gone through that teething phase. So it sounds to me like there's a bit of anxiety there. A lot of dogs, and obviously without seeing the dog, it will be a hard one to say for sure, but quite often dogs that are left outside, they have to deal with the whole world, and they've got to cope with the traffic noise and the birds flying over and people shouting around and all that kind of stuff, and they can struggle with that. So normally the sign of chewing is a normal sign of anxiety.
Oh, because he used to sleep in the garage.
Yeah, so suddenly if he's now outside, maybe there's a bit of a change. He's not coping very well. The other thing is dogs actually enjoy chewing, so it might just be a boredom relieving thing. If he's in there by himself, he's not got a lot to do. He might just be bored, and it's there, so why not? So it's going to be one of those two things, really, I would say. But the good thing you could do is maybe buy some chew toys. Have you seen those Kongs? I talk about Kongs an awful lot. They're like a little rubber toy that you can stuff with treats and put some of those down. You can always bury them as well, and they can dig them up. That's quite fun for dogs.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I will mention it. Mind you, I've got the dog, a new kennel, me and my partner.
It could be just a lack of things to play with by the sounds of it, Rose, but there's a good idea from Darren just to buy some toys.
The one thing you don't want to do is buy another dog.
Okay. Why? Because it will teach that dog the same bad habit?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely.
All right, here's another question on the text machine. Thank you, Rose. Keep the questions coming in for Darren for a few more minutes on 0800 844 747. Off the text machine. G'day, team. Interested in getting a new dog. I'm on a farm, but would like to take my dog to work. I'm a tradesman, so it's not much of an issue, but what dogs do not bark as much as others? I'm looking at a Border Collie or a German Pointer or a Labrador.
I would, if you're a tradie, I would say it's probably not the best dog of choice, just because they'll want to work. So if you have a Border Collie and he goes to a trade, he's going to be trying to round up all your tradies. A lot of dogs that I see with tradies would be like the little fox terriers, little small ones, because if they have to stay in the car, then it's not so bad. And I see a lot of little staffy type dogs. They seem to cope quite well with that one-to-one interaction. They like that. and they're quite happy to sit in cars if they can't get out on the properties. Because remember, if you're a tradie, sometimes don't just assume your dog's going to be allowed to be run free, because if you came here, your dog would be in the car all day.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have another dog running on my property when I've got my dogs.
Yeah, I wouldn't. The Alsatian, the German Shepherd, whichever way you want to describe them, they are a big, hairy beastie, right? So if that's in a car all day, it's going to be shedding hair everywhere. What about, this is not very cool for a blokey tradesman, but what about an Italian Greyhound?
Again, it's down to exercise, isn't it? I mean, they're quite small, I guess, but I'd probably steer clear of that one because they'd want to get out. They'd want to run around.
Okay.
You still need to be giving exercise and that kind of stuff to the dog. All the tradies that I've had here, they've all had either little fluffy types or they've had like a little fox terrier cross. I'm sure there are 101 types of dogs you can have. One tradie actually had not Great Dane, what was they called? Completely forgotten.
Irish Wolfhound.
That's the one. Thank you, Roman.
Seriously?
That's a great big thing he bought once. Yeah.
Oh no!
But he knew that he could run around in our paddock because we knew the guy. So
you could throw a saddle on an Irish Wolfhound and enter the next races at Te Raupraha. Honestly,
it was funny. He had a ute, and it wasn't it was a ute with seats in the back as well, and pretty much the dog had the ute. His paws were on his front seat. It was hilarious.
Yeah, look, I'm lucky enough because I walk up and down and around Mount Eden. I see a plethora of dogs, and when you see a breed you don't know, people love to tell you about their dogs. Do you remember I was telling you about that French one? Not a baguette, not a croissant. What's that French breed?
What did they look like again? I can't remember.
Oh, huge, big, hairy beasties.
Briard one, isn't it? I think.
What a beautiful dog that is.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they are. All right, so choose carefully, but once you've chosen that breed, don't just think it's going to know what you want it to do. Have a chat with Darren Rowe. He's here at the moment for a bit more on 0800 844 747. Getting the simple things right at the start makes things so much easier. This text says, I've got a cool coat, which is spelled Kool.
Yeah.
So this one says, it's about keeping a dog cool. I purchased from Freddie and Phoebe online. It's absolutely fantastic and keeps the dog's coat cool for about 3 hours. It's a lightweight white coat that you rinse with water. I keep mine in the fridge in a plastic bag. And if I see my dog panting or it's very humid, as it was yesterday, I put on the cool coat and within minutes it stops panting and relaxes.
Yeah, they're absolutely fantastic. We used to do a lot of agility in the UK, and still do here, but all of our dogs had these really trendy little cool coats.
Wow.
And I think it was a cool K9 coat. It sounds a little bit different. This is probably the blue version. And it was like a gel, and you'd put it in cold water, and it would soak up the moisture, and then it would cool the dogs down. And yeah, in a couple of minutes, the dogs were fantastic, especially after they've just done agility. But just a word of warning here: there's a lot of coats out there that have a reflective, like a tin foil type look to them. Don't use those, because what happens is we think we're stopping the sun from hitting the dog, but what we're doing is we're just reflecting the dog's heat back into the body, and it can sometimes cause problems. So really do your research on those coats.
Well, that's a good point. So if you are buying something like that, maybe have a chat with your local vet clinic and see what they recommend, because that'd be a horrible thing to overcook your dog in a car or something.
The ones that the caller talked about, as far as I'm aware, they don't do that, so that's good.
Okay.
They're the good ones.
Now, Tom on the text machine, thanks for texting in, Tom, on 3920. We have an 8-week-old pup that seems to be biting us when she's playing with us. How do we stop her biting? I'd just say bite her back, wouldn't you, Darren?
No.
No? Oh, okay.
So the first thing to note, Tom, is that that's totally normal, okay? And it has to happen, otherwise your puppy is going to end up not learning how to bite properly, and then when it's 1 year old, it's going to end up biting really hard. So all puppies go through a biting phase, and it's called bite inhibition training. I can do a little plug here. If you want to really learn how to do it, you can jump onto my website, and we've got an online puppy course, and it goes through all of how to do that sort of thing. So you can find that. But essentially what you do is you have to teach your dog how to bite, and then you teach them how to bite less aggressively. You can always redirect into toys as well. Hang
on. You just said you need to teach your puppy how to bite?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I know. So you actually got to let them bite your hand a little bit. It sounds really strange. It sounds quite counterproductive, isn't it? And then you kind of withdraw yourself when it's really hard, and then they realise that that's too hard, and then you let them bite again a little bit. This takes a couple of weeks, and then they bite less and less and less. Our pups were quite big biters. Border collies, anyone who's got border collie knows they're quite biters. After about a week, there was no biting at all. Then, of course, it comes back. So be warned, Tom, because in about 15 weeks, when about 14, 15 weeks old, then the teething comes through and then they start to bite you really hard. But what you'll find is when they put your hand in their mouth, they'll pull it to the back of their mouth. As soon as they do that, you know it's a teething, and that's just when you've got to get all those teething toys like bones and kongs and nyla bones and things like that.
Okay, we're almost out of time, Darren. I really want to quickly ask you, though, about the benefits of choosing the right name. There's no point in calling a dog Sebastian, Augustus, Gloop, Novaflow, excess drainage, whatever. Keep it short, right? Single syllable stuff?
Definitely. Not necessarily single syllables, but that first syllable, you want a very strong name. So, we call a dog Lemon, and there's that hard consonant sound, because that's what they're going to hear. And that's the important thing. A lot of the softer names, the dogs don't really distinguish. And you also want a name that stands out, because when you're in the park, you don't want to be calling, the classic name. I think the most popular one at the moment is Max and Bella. Yeah. So you'll probably call that and you have 100 dogs running towards you. Did you know, Roman, there were 558 dogs registered last year called Bella in Christchurch alone.
Oh, that's a lovely name, though. Bella.
Huge.
It's pretty cool.
I know. It is a nice name, but you can imagine if you're in a park in Christchurch, you shout out the word Bella.
Oh, especially in Fendalton. Bella! Bella! Next thing, 400 poodles come running towards you, yeah.
And do you know what one of the really more popular dog names has been? You'll never guess. It's up by 1,000%, Covey.
Cody?
What would you Covey, as in
Oh, no. Oh, gosh, no.
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 Mad. Why would you call your dog that?
Yeah, because then, if you're at the park and someone's calling for COVID and you say, I've got COVID, everyone would start running away. That's stupid.
Mad.
Hey, Darren, how do people get in touch with you?
Oh, yeah. So you can find me on Facebook. Just type in Mindfulness for Dogs with that number 4. It's just mindfulnessfordogs.com, or you can just search for Darren Rowe and you'll find me. One last thing, though, Roman. Whenever you use the dog's name, always in a positive way. Never tell your dog off using their name.
Oh.
Very important.
Oh, I see. I've done it wrong for years and years, Darren, but you're the right man to get us on track. And we find you on the interweb how again?
Yep, so you can find me on Facebook, just Mindfulness for Dogs with that number 4. You can just search for Darren Rowe and you'll find me there, or just Mindfulness for Dogs. I'm all over there. So. Yeah, good stuff. Thank you, Darren. It's always good to catch up with you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Darren Rowe, normally from the Sunday Cafe. We'll get back into that again in a couple of weeks' time as well. If you're out and about with your dog, take a little bowl and some water. Look after it. 9:30.
You've been listening to Darren Rowe on The Mindful Dog, giving our canine friends a voice throughout the world. To find out more about what we do, visit our website at www.mindfulnessfordogs.com.